Option 4 is probably the most commonly used, one of the most commonly used, and that is that the buyer is going to request some modifications or repairs. And then we get into how do we do that? And that's where a lot of questions come up. So, because we have to write language. It's not just checking a box or selecting a certain addendum or a number of days. We actually have to write language to request those repairs. And remember, you're held to the standard of care of an attorney. So how would an attorney draft that language, and how are you going to do it? One thing I see a lot is that brokers have a tendency to overcomplicate it, to write more language in there than what is really needed. What are you really asking for? So if a buyer wants to request repairs and you're going to write this language, what is one of the things, keys, what are you really trying to achieve by it, by writing the language?
Make it clear what you want fixed and how.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to know what the buyer is really, the outcome the buyer is really wanting in order to do that. Just because they say we want to fix item 4 on the inspection report, well, what is the outcome they really want? Maybe that says the water heater is 30 years old. Okay, and they say we want this fixed. Are they asking for a new water heater? Are they asking for some further inspection of the water? What are they really asking for? And so that's the first step, is to find out what is your buyer's objective. Because we want to keep it simple, like Hal said, very clear what is being done. So kind of to break it down into some simple bullets of what we're looking for in the language is, like we said, what does the buyer want to accomplish, their desired outcome? What task needs to be completed to achieve that outcome? Who's completing the task? And who's taking an action to get that task started? So for example, let's use the water heater example. We know the desired outcome is a water heater replacement. That's what we're going for. Who is going to complete that task? Who would complete a water heater replacement?
A licensed plumber.
Okay, a licensed plumber. So we know what's being accomplished and who's doing it. Now, who has to take an action in order for that licensed plumber to make that replacement? There's 3 people in a transaction, seller, buyer. Well, there's seller and buyer in a transaction. Who has to take an action in order for that to get done? Whose responsibility is it?
Seller to have a licensed plumber replace water heater with like kind water heater.
Why do you say add the like kind?
Because I don't want a 30-gallon water heater if I'm replacing 100.
Absolutely. So we kind of work backwards. When I just gave you those bullets, we work backwards in creating the language we're going to write. So the seller has to take the action. So seller shall. Anytime that not seller will, not seller may. If you put seller may, that just gives them the choice of whether or not they want to do it. So seller shall do what? And like Marissa said, seller shall hire a licensed plumber, and then what's going to be completed? And that's going to be the water heater is replaced.